Recording in progress.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the Public Works Committee meeting for August 13th, 2026. Could we have a roll call, please?
Alderwoman Tice.
Here.
Alderwoman Gold.
Here.
Alderman Meyer.
Here.
Alderman Lockmiller.
Here.
There's a quorum.
Move on to agenda approval. Could we approve by acclamation? Shall. Move on to citizen comment. Anybody in the audience or online that would like to make a comment for 3 minutes? We have anybody online, Octavia? Okay. Move on down the line here to reports from committee chairs and aldermen. I have no report. Alderwoman Tice?
No report.
Alderwoman Goode?
No report.
Alderman Meyer?
No report.
All right, moving on to department reports. Public Works Department, Dan?
I got several different department project updates. So starting with McKnight Road, the push button on the Brentwood side failed. So like the spring mechanism, it won't return it. I've tried it multiple times. They ordered us a new one. TAPCO sending it. We haven't received it yet. Hopefully it'll be here next week. Once we get it, we'll put that new unit in and ship them the old one because they want to know why it failed. They said usually that's the thing that lasts the longest on those systems, but it was only in since April maybe, not very long. Switching to Russell Avenue, the retaining wall. My project manager and I met with the property owner at the corner there of Russell and Collier. The contractor is actually out there working, so he started on Wednesday and did his forms today with the intent to pour the wall tomorrow. So assuming that the weather holds, he'll get that wall poured and backfill it next week and put sod down, and that'll be it. You know, should be done after next week. Manchester Road, the replacement streetlight cabinet is sitting at the electrician's storage yard. So as soon as he can, he's going to put that in. That's just east of Dorothy on the north side of Manchester. The other two lights are actually done. So there was one by the self-storage unit that's been popped back on its base and hooked up. And the other one was by the Rock Church closer to Bremerton. So that one's done. Because I know we got the bill for it. The Rock Church one was actually reimbursed through insurance since someone hit it, knocked it down. There's a police report. So even though it's $9,000, we get our $9,000 back. It's already been paid. So finance has the check. Solar streetlights. I still don't have any cost information from the vendor that does sell the post top ones, the Colonial. I did meet with the people that originally did the ones in York Village. That's Von Roche Lighting. I did confirm with the sales guy that was here, they don't have that style anymore, the black, like fiberglass with the vertical post. He said that was something that their predecessor, Solar One, sold, but they didn't decide to continue to manufacture it. So Von Roche actually is sending me a quote for their lights, but I know they're not what we would like. It's not the Colonial, it's more modern. I was like, you can send it, but I don't think we're gonna go for it. So.
Sorry. So the streetlights that were shown last time, like they just haven't given you a bid yet?
No, I've sent twice now. Like you go fill out a questionnaire and a salesperson's supposed to contact you. There's even like a sales warehouse around here. I left a voicemail for them. I don't have anybody. I'll just keep trying. It's like, yeah, I would think that they're a few $1,000s each. I would think you'd want to sell whatever you have in stock. The one that Von Roche has, they call it a brute bollard. So it's like tall, cylindrical, and kind of, you know, sprouts. I can put it in a weekly report, but it's like, I think it's too modern for everyone's taste. It's nice. I said, you know, if you put them anywhere, it might be along the walking trail or out here, maybe in the parking lot area where, you know, because they could be used for streets, they could be used for parking lot lighting. The nice part about them is all of your solar and batteries are up above. So if floods, you just hose off the base, you know, unless it goes, I think he said they're 14 feet tall. You know, if it's that deep, we're all in trouble. So I'll entertain them giving us a quote just so I can compare it to whenever I do finally get the one I want. it'd be nice to know like what that cost difference is. Maybe there is none.
Sound like it's in your control at all.
Just keep
It
trying.
doesn't go until if it becomes the fall, like I think.
Yeah, because I know the one with Fonroche, he said it's like a 6 to 8 week lead time. So he's like, if you did like the one that I'm sending you, he's like, and you ordered it, it's about 6 or 8 weeks till you get it. I was like, oh, okay. That's usually what most are. Switching gears, the Webster Groves trunk phase 2. Bates is the utility company that's doing the work for MSD. That work started. I know they still have to bore underneath Brentwood Boulevard. It doesn't affect traffic. The work will commence primarily on the Webster Grove side and into fall of '27. So that should be no impact to us. Pine Avenue, we did bring this item to public safety. Just wanted to make everyone aware in Public Works. 16 households from the mid-block to the east were asked about changing parking, basically putting a restriction for residents only. Of the 16 households, we received 21 responses, and of the 21, one wanted to leave it alone. The other 20 want to change it so that you'll have to get the sticker. We would do just like on Brazos, where it's 4 stickers per household if you want 4. And then they would have to display them if they're parked in the street. I'll be bringing that to the board, but I have to change the table for that.
So, unless I missed it, I didn't see it on the agenda for Monday's board meeting.
Yeah, I didn't have time to put it on Mondays, but I'll have it for the next one.
So I hear from people on this block 2 to 3 times a week. One person moves, no, multiple people, but one individual moves
Yeah.
trash cans in the front so that she has a place for her children to park. I don't know if there's a way to add this to the agenda on Monday, but it's been sitting for a month. I know you've already published the agenda. I don't know if we can add it, but this, or if you can get your chart done, but this has been a problem. And by the time we restrict the parking, the library's going to be open, and presumably they'll still do the reciprocity with the employees. But it's a big problem, and I hate for us. And it's 3 weeks till the meeting because of the way that September dates work. Okay.
So we could get it added. It would have to get added tonight because I wouldn't be able to do it tomorrow. However, because it is, I believe it's going to be a bill if you have it prepared, because we're going to look for it to be enforced. So in order for them to enforce it, it's going to have to be a bill for it.
Yeah, and we would still need to call in locates, put in posts. It's
That's
not
after
like,
the fact.
yeah, that's after the fact. If you approved it Monday, it would still be probably a week.
Right, but if it was approved Monday, it would be a week as opposed to another month. It would be
Right.
4 more weeks because we wait 3 weeks for a meeting.
Yeah,
and
we
then-
still have to let them have time to get the stickers too. You wouldn't enforce it right away. Yeah.
Time. But the key is, we've done this before, so we should have an ordinance already. Language for an
Yeah,
ordinance.
yours is, yeah, we
Okay.
already changed it before on Brazos, so it'd be cut and paste.
So we'll stay tonight to knock this out.
Thank you.
Public safety already took it up, so I don't
So
think
this is
there's,
just-
this was just it for information to this committee.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Litzinger Road restriping, I don't know if anyone's traveled down it, it's all done, so county did their part, Rock Hill actually did their part, and then we had the contractor do ours. And we did stop bars and crosswalks, and we're still doing that like around the school, but it looks good. You see the double yellow line, you see the white shoulders, and looks fine to me.
Yeah, way to coordinate all those.
Yeah, that was, that was not as fun as I would have hoped. Because I kept thinking someone's gonna drop the ball and then it's gonna look bad, but it worked
At least
well.
it matches all too. It looks like.
Yeah, and that, exactly, it'll fade over time, probably in the same manner, so.
And I'll just add that it's nice to have positive feedback from certain neighbors when you're getting negative feedback on parking. It's great to get the positive feedback on the striping, so thank you on that.
The next item, item 8, Rosalie Avenue, that was brought up at the last meeting. So the speed limit feedback sign, the new battery was received, staff put it in. So far, the solar panel and battery are operating, so when you drive by, you'll see it flash your speed. So that's good. OMCI and Prop S. So this is a little different this year since Prop S, we can actually consider projects for Prop S, so we have more than just the OMCI fund. So Prop S nets us, or actually it allocates $100,000 a year. So there was $100,000 last year, there's $100,000 this year. So starting in 2027, if you had projects that you would submit the application on, you would in theory be able to reimburse yourself up to $200,000 in Prop S funds. On the OMCI, we have a total of $597,432. That's what's allocated. It's rolled over several years. We'll be getting back $125,219. That's for the Stormwater Master Plan. That would then leave $472,213 for the OMCI funds. And then bid package one, the engineering estimate for construction, $144,000. If we reimburse that amount back to ourselves, it's $328,213 remaining for OMCI. So I'll be putting together a more comprehensive spreadsheet, bringing that to Ways and Means. I know we have discussions in the budget meetings to figure out what the next bid package will be. We'll get bid package one out there. And then I know that there's still funds under Fund 50 that are in the budget for 2026. We've only spent like 1,800, so we'll be able to do work this year, next year. After that, I don't know. We'd probably have to roll over and collect more. But I wanted to give several different categories like we did before, where it's like option A, B, C, D. I know now you've got enough accumulated to pay yourself back for a bigger project. So that's good. Yeah.
So I have a question on the reimbursement that we took for the stormwater master plan. So, and it may be a Ways and Means question, I don't know, but where did that money, did it come from Fund 50? And then is it going back in Fund 50? And then at the point that it's back, are we sort of internally earmarking it for more stormwater things? Or is that then just available for parks too? Like how are we making sure that we're doing storm things?
So the way the OCMI and Prop S works, it's money out, so we expended the money first, and so that goes out of Fund 50, and then when we get it back, it replenishes what was taken out. So anytime we do a project, that'll kind of go out and then come back in. The one thing Dan did talk about is we do have $150,000 reserved in Fund 50 for stormwater projects, something that we had done probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. So if we needed a little bit extra money to kind of get a bigger project done, as Dan was talking about, we could tap into those reserves.
Does this answer your question?
It does. So Alderwoman Goad had I think she had, I'm sort of bringing up a question you had asked several months ago about whether, and certainly for the things, I think we should reimburse ourselves when we're expending money for these storm projects that are storm projects. And I know that MSD allows us with OMCI money to reimburse ourselves for the stormwater plan. But since that was actually a plan and it's not something that the residents saw like a project from, do we want to like be sure that that's set aside specifically
It is
for
being set aside.
stormwater?
Yes.
So it's
So we talked to Michelle Depew earlier this week, if you want to expand on that. And so we're going to,
So, yeah, I mean, if we wanted to do that, basically the money was expended last year for the Stormwater Master Plan, right?
several years before.
3 years ago. So ultimately, that money came out of Fund 50. And so ultimately, fund balance, it came out of fund balance at that time, expecting it to come back in. If it's something where we want to take that 150,000, I think is what it was, and put that into reserves too, to then bump that up, that's something we can easily do.
Well, I guess I would probably need to understand like how much, like where the fund balance is. It may be more of a Ways and Means discussion.
It can be part of the budget discussion.
Okay.
Because we're going to bring it up
I'll make
here
sure,
shortly.
I make
but-
sure I put that part of my
And we'll check.
Fund 50 presentation
Yeah.
during the budget.
If it's fundable in the way you just described it, we will model it into the proposed budget.
Okay. Well, and I would just want to reiterate, I don't think we should do that for all these other projects. We're spending money, we're getting reimbursed for a stormwater project that we otherwise wouldn't be doing, but for OMCI or the other Prop S money. So, but just on this master plan.
Yeah, and the other thing with Prop S, after talking to MSD, we could actually submit for engineering design for a project. So maybe you don't want to do construction, but you want to have something shovel-ready and then let the money accumulate. You would just put in an application with Prop S. And the neat part with these two is you can combine it into one project. So if you did like a Pine Avenue or some bigger project, you could have used funds from one pot of money, say Prop S, and then the next year do construction out of OMCI. So it gives you flexibility.
So further, Dan was going to talk about, and it might be at a different meeting, what are the next group of projects from the stormwater master plan that we can have a discussion with the
Right.
Public Works Committee, and if approved, we could do the engineering next year, and just depending on how long that takes, we could have a discussion on the construction. So that's what we're also planning for next year, right?
Yep. Yeah, because last year we presented like 4 groups, and it was the desire to do one big project versus like 3 or 4 smaller projects. But we're doing it in the priority ranking. One of them we're already done with, the White Avenue.
If it doesn't cost in the millions, I think there's an opportunity to group another series of projects together and get that done.
Sorry, I was thinking about something when I sat back down. So the quick answer of the of your question is Fund 50 is fully funded. We meet our reserve. The ERR is fully funded, and so we have everything fully funded. And so even when we've done this budget, I have not included the $150,000 from MSD into I did not model that into my budget because I wasn't sure when we would get it. So ultimately, I'm expecting that to come into fund balance anyway. So it could go pretty easily straight into reserves.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, do you mind if I ask one more question? Sure. So,
got
what's
one
the timing on the, I mean, I love that we're looking at doing engineering because it seems like we have been talking about that first set. I mean, we did the thing on White Avenue because we could do it internally, but what's the timing on these other projects?
The goal was to bid the bid package 1 this month and then bring it back in September so that then you'd have your bids. And then that's going to really tell you like what is with the construction estimate, if it's good or not. You know, if we said 144,000, we know goods have gone up, fuel charges or surcharges are being added to different things. Hopefully it's still close to that. You know, if it's say 200,000, we've only been approved for 144,000 in reimbursement. But as Eric pointed out, we already have funds sitting in Fund 50. We should be able to proceed with that one, and then we'll just have to reevaluate the other group.
Good. Okay, great. So it's coming.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I just had a question, just for clarity, Dan. So the Prop S is always going to be 100,000 a year?
Yes, it's based on population. So I included the list in the packet that lists each city, whether it's, you know, Breckenridge Hills or Brentwood or Ladue.
And then the OMCI is not,
That's the tax, and that one's a smaller amount. I think between the two, what was it, a $200-something thousand? $239, okay.
but that could fluctuate. I mean,
It can, yeah,
Okay.
but the 100,000's the 100,000. It's based on population, unless we lost a lot of population, which I don't see that happening. So that's good.
thanks. Another question? Go ahead.
For this, when would we be actual shovel in the ground? So if you go and get engineering sorry, would this be a project we put shovel in the ground this year, or do we have
This
to
year.
wait to? Okay, so this is like the plan is to, if we can get the engineering done in time, we would actually
Yeah, the bids
get
would
this.
come back here, assume they get approved, then they go back to the board, assuming that there's a positive recommendation, then notice to proceed to the contractor. And this is work that can happen throughout the fall. It's not really temperature sensitive in the sense that you're not putting in concrete or asphalt, you're putting in sewer pipe, backfilling it. You might have to come back in the spring to get grass to grow.
Okay, so this could be if
It could
everything
actually go
goes
through the
well and
winter.
numbers hit, this could be,
Yeah.
get something done this year as well, in addition to White.
Can the city only submit one request for reimbursement a year?
No, you can do multiple projects. You're only going to get reimbursed as much as you have available that year, but they will let you carry over into the next year knowing that they're going to pull another 100,000, if that
So
makes
if the
sense.
committee is in agreement at the next meeting, we can have a discussion on what the next group
Yeah.
of projects should be. And since we can make ask for reimbursement of the cost for engineering, if you agree, we can go ahead and move on that one instead of waiting till next year.
Can we, can we make that list available again at
Yes.
the projects and priorities of what next in line? September. Dan? Dan, I just had one more thing. I hate to tell you this about Manchester Road lighting, but the light in front of RPM Automotive isn't working.
Oh, it's not working?
Yeah, I know it's like whack-a-mole down there, but,
The decorative light, not the
yeah.
Cobra head.
Yeah,
Okay.
the decorative.
The last item on here, item 10, 9106 Madge. Staff confirmed that a contractor can connect the sewer lateral to the MSD line, which is on the south side of Madge, like right in front of the home. And what that'll allow us to do is abandon the 100 feet or so of outdated pipe that goes from the front of the home, turns due east, and actually connects to high school. So the work meets the sewer lateral program requirements. It's right at the $4,250 reimbursement limit cutoff. So the property owner won't have to pay anything for it. It's right at the limit. And then abandoning that obsolete sewer allows that line to no longer function. It'll be capped, and then you won't have worries of, every time a toilet flushes, it takes a little bit of dirt downstream and creates a sinkhole in that curb line, since that'll be an obsolete line that's no longer in use. So, and it should reduce future backups because you'll have a shorter line instead of, 150 or more feet. All good things.
Move on to Parks and Recreation. Eric?
Yeah, a few things for you guys tonight. The first is Urban Chestnut. We just got through our first month, so July, well, it's been more than our first month, but for the month of July, just want to give the quick update that they generated over $6,600 in sales. Urban Chestnut was extremely happy with the first month. Even last night, we were out there and it was a slow night. Weather was questionable, it was hot, and basically both the staff members there was like, hey, you do this in July and August to pave the way for September and October. So I like to see that they're kind of thinking about it in the long term. The September usage will be in the board packet on Monday, and they actually last night approved or asked if they could move through October too. We won't have that at the board meeting just because we weren't able to get everything done in time, but that will be that first meeting in September, so we still have plenty of time. So we're excited about that, and you see, I think we said we generated a little bit over $1,000 just from July, and it's just something that we hope will continue to build. So, second is Hanley Park, and I know there's some questions, so I'm trying to see if I can explain it a little bit better using the old design. So this is the old design that we first brought to Public Works probably two and a half years ago. So the idea is, because of water confluence, this design takes too much of the flow. So what they're going to do is rotate everything 90 degrees this way. So these are the restrooms. So the restrooms will now be facing the volleyball courts, which again, I don't think is a terrible idea. The picnic tables and the area will be facing the parking lot. And it kind of separates that area from the volleyball as well. So I do like that. And then this area kind of moves down. So I kind of will show, this is the updated design. So this is where the picnic tables are. That dashed line is basically the roof line. So that just shows the roof line. Here are the restrooms that face the volleyball courts. And then the little plaza is separated, which I think I like too, because that kind of separates the people who are here for volleyball from the people who are over here for the pavilion, if it's a rental. The other thing is the BMP, which you always have to have, actually got moved from the side over here down behind the building. It's more hidden that way, which is, we think, a better design. And the parking lot remains pretty similar. It's stormwater management. So basically, we have to make sure any new impervious area that we put somewhere holds water. If you talk to, unfortunately, our engineers, we actually had to handle more because the project, the basketball court and the pickleball courts did not have to have a BMP because it was less than an acre. But now that we're doing this project, then we have to include all those calculations into this. That made that BMP a little bit bigger. But again, it's good. We have to have it, and it kind of gets a little bit hidden here. The only one negative I see is just the extra pathway that we'll have to have, mainly because of ADA and accessibility. So, but we're happy with this design. It now is in the process of they're wrapping it up, getting the 3D models done. So hopefully I can show you something like the previous one here in a little bit. And once that gets done, it goes to MSD for approval. We hope approval will be done middle to late September. With that being said, that means we'll then put it out to bid in October and get bids back to Public Works, hopefully November, to the board, late November, early December. Try to start demolition early December, and then finish up the project next year. So the big thing for that is it moves funding from this year to next year. So we've already modeled that into our budget for next year, and also means the grant that we are going to receive this year then gets moved to next year too. So revenue moves, expenditures move. So that's the basic on that.
I have a number of questions. First of all, super excited about this. So it looks like we have about 15 more parking spaces or so?
About 25 additional.
25?
Yes.
Oh, okay, love that, because that parking lot fills up so fast. And then is there going to be a water fountain or anything for all the volleyball players
Yes,
on the outside of the building?
There's two things. The water fountain is going to be right here. That's going to be a wall-mounted water fountain.
Okay.
We'll always have a bottle filler. And then what I like is there's going to be this area right over here, which is the foot washing station. So that way they come off the courts, they can wash their feet before they go anywhere else.
Currently, there's a lot of sand in the other.
Yes. And
Okay. And so I know a lot of the volleyball players and the weekend folks that rent the volleyball courts, like they're always hanging out with like food and they take over the picnic area. So is there going to be in that area with the foot washing station, or are there going to be like tables or benches?
There
for
is.
them to-
Actually, yeah, there'll be more like bistro style tables down there.
Okay.
But yes, we'll have tables and chairs down there. So yes, that becomes a separate area than what is underneath the pavilion.
Volleyball groups can keep, or we can still have people on the volleyball courts while there's also I know, picnic groups,
Yep.
the birthday party rentals.
Exactly.
And then for all those fun birthday party rentals, if they're on the other side of this pavilion with the
Be right
dashed
there,
line.
right about there. Yep.
By the way, thank you for the early explanation too about the
Oh, no
lines.
worries. Site plans are always fun to look at.
So that's going to have a number of 3-4 picnic tables, kind of just general open.
Yep.
What's it going to be? Is it just looking at the parking lot, or is it like going to be, are there like trees planted so they don't see the parking lot? Because
At this time, no. Unfortunately, you will see the parking lot. That's the only downside of this design. The previous design had you kind of overlooking the creek. But the idea is that there's just less area for water to hit here than if it was turned. The benefit of this, like I said, is it does kind of separate it from the volleyball court. So if there are things going on and you're having your picnic, it will still be, you'll still feel kind of isolated. You'll have a grill over here for the pavilion. There's obviously landscaping here, but we can always look at different things too for
tall
screening.
grasses, that kind of
Yep.
thing to break it up.
Exactly.
And what is
I'm sorry?
the purple around the walk? If the walking path is the zigzag,
That
what
the
is
purple is
purple
just
around?
showing the grading. So that's the grading because to get you up, because that is a decent incline from the parking lot up to the pavilion. So they're just showing the different grading marks.
And it's because of that 2-foot rise, we've got to raise the building up now.
Yep.
And is this built to have the bathrooms open year round, or just for like this?
It will be heated. We can have that discussion. Typically, we do shut down bathrooms and parks in October. But obviously Brentwood Park is open year round. The dog park is obviously a year round facility, so we can have that conversation if that is where you might be going with this. It would make sense to have this year round. We don't do it year round now because it is not heated. And so we have to shut down and blow out the pipes.
Okay. And I was just wondering, like, would that expand time for people to be able to rent it or have events there later? Because I think it usually gets closed down around mid-October sometime.
End of October is our end of our park season.
Okay.
We do have people who will rent it from November to March, different pavilions. We just tell them, unfortunately, there's no restroom facilities.
And that hasn't been a problem?
No.
Oh, okay. I asked a lot of questions.
That's all
Anyone
right.
else?
No.
All right, so the next is, we have a number of school district requests, all kind of similar to the ones we've had in the past. The Mark Twain PTO food truck fundraiser in November, this is year 2 of this. Same thing that they talked about last year. We give them the wagon rental for free, they pay for staff time. The elementary school ice skating mixers, they've done that for a number of years. And then the middle school annual skating event, that is, they basically come on one day during the school year, like Friday. So it's not too busy time. So that is all stuff that has been approved by the board in the past. We'll bring this back to the Board of Aldermen if you guys agree to move this forward. And ultimately, this is something we'll model into this facility use agreement that we've been talking about. So we were close to getting done, and then they asked about the food truck rental. I'm like, yeah, we should probably add that to the facility use agreement too, to make sure we kind of codify these type of things. So,
Forward.
yeah, if you guys want to move it forward to the board, it'll come in
Are
September.
there any questions about lack of there?
Years and
Yeah.
they're basically overlapping with us anyway. I'm happy to make a motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Second. Aye.
Aye. Passes.
Great. The Gateway Fountain. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I did think of one more thing, back to the park. Lighting. How much is it going to be lit? When is it going to be lit? 'Cause
In
I know
Hanley
it's
Park?
that fine balance between people want to play volleyball in September, October, but also then the trees start coming down, so neighbors will get a lot more light, possibly. So what are you thinking for lighting on that?
The good news about the lighting on the 2 courts is the fact that it is direct lighting straight down the courts. I mean, LED direct lighting where there's not a whole lot of spill outside. When we did the project, 2020 at this point, 2019, the spill didn't go across the creek, so this
Okay.
light should stay closed. Now, according to our ordinance, the park is closed at 10 o'clock, so they can't stay on after 10 o'clock. So
Okay.
we do get more parking lot lighting, so you do have light here, and I think another light up there. No, here and there. So there's more parking lot lighting than we've had in the past, which is a good thing. I'm scrolling around on my thing like you guys can see, and I forgot I turned off the
Like,
screen.
is it the X's or the
No,
cross hatch?
No, it's the kind of like in the 2 landscape beds, there's 2 light poles,
Okay, that's where your
okay.
2 light poles
solar
are.
powered. So
Is it worth putting a light pole at all by the driveway?
I'd have to go down and look at. Let me go down there one night. Tomorrow night, I'll be there tomorrow night late for family night, so I'll run over there after family night and see how it looks at night. So
Okay. 'Cause
I'll take
it's-
a look at that.
It's not part of this project, but it will be adjacent to this project of people who are, particularly at the dog park next door in October, November, December, January, when it's darker, they walk back to their cars oftentimes. So if they're parking in there and they're walking back.
Let me see. At the very least, we can. Let me look at that and then see if there's.
It might be out of scope to add a light towards that direction, but.
It may be, but we could look at possibly like solar power bollards along the trail. Then you wouldn't have to tap into electric. The problem, I'd have to see how much sun we'd get in those areas during the day too, because that's a pretty
Okay.
good tree
Trees are
canopy
beautiful.
there.
They look fantastic. You guys do a great job with the trees, so.
So let me look at a couple things and
Okay.
we'll come from there.
If not, I mean, it's obviously, people do it already, so it's just one of those, while we're at the project, is there worth putting one closer to that trailhead? Not.
Well, it might be a good place to do what I've really wanted to do for a long time, which is luminescent trail. So it's basically a additive you put in there and it glows at night. There's a great one in Iowa. If you just put luminescent trail Iowa, it is very cool. So I tried for Brentwood Park, but it was a little bit out of budget there.
Yeah.
If it's out of budget, it might not make sense, it might be out of scope, but it's just, I know that section from the gate towards the parking lot is decently used at night.
Yeah, let me see what I can do. All right. The Gateway Fountain, we did get the report back. The report was very similar to kind of what we guys had mentioned last meeting. The idea was to replace the line between the the supply line between the backflow and the fill, the fountain vault. They also identified that there's some valves on the pumps that have failed too, and that they would need to be replaced. That's not something a pipe contractor would do. That'd be more of what our contractor, our pond contractor does all the water stuff would do. So we did get a quote from Castle. Castle's our on-call emergency contractors. Easy to kind of give them a call and get them out there. They gave us kind of a flat rate of $35,000. What I would say is it's copper piping, so that's going to be a little bit more expensive if you go that than a typical pipe that is being used these days. And the other thing is, as everyone has said, they don't know exactly what they're getting into because they need to start digging. So we did call another contractor, Beag, who does a lot of pipe work. They said, sorry, I have to pull it up. They were at 23,000, so we have a kind of a delta of 12,000 between the two. And so there's that possibility. And if we do that, I mean, we're talking 25,000 is our RF, like request for bid. If we can get it under 25,000, then it's quotes. So maybe we could do something with quotes if that's the path we wanted to take. My staff is always looking for different alternatives, and there was the idea of maybe if we wanted a water feature, but we didn't want to kind of go through that piping, and that's always going to be piping underground. It lasted 20 years, went 20 more years. Well, we have a great example of the fountain in Brentwood Park that is just standing water with a water emitter. You have to purchase 2 of those. That's about $2,000 to $2,000, $2,500. The problem is going to be filling that every year because there's no way to really fill it well. I did ask the fire department what it would take, and they said it would take 20 trips of their pumper truck, and they wouldn't do that. But we're looking at different ideas. So if you can give me another month, I might be able to bring back possible solutions that might not include digging down and replacing pipe, if you're interested. If we are interested in repairs, we looked at which TDD, Bola?
RC,
Yeah.
Hanley Road Corridor.
The Hanley Road Corridor. We just received that money last year. Some of that money can be designated for the fountain because that was part of the original TDD. So it could be that if we have a little bit of money, we could use some of that for that, if that's something that we want to do. So there's a lot of options. I think if you guys are okay, because the staff kind of threw this last one on me today, give me another month. I can bring back everything kind of in a list, and we can kind of have a further discussion about it.
Does that fountain run in the wintertime? I can't remember.
It does not. We close it in the winter mainly because it was too hard on the pumps. The interesting thing, I'd have to talk to staff now, if we don't have water running through the pipes and pumping that, if we just do what we normally do, what we do at the lake, which is we leave that emitter on year round, it might be something then we could leave year on, and then you're really only talking about filling it as we lose water, which would be a lot easier than trying to fill it all at once. Draining's the easy part. We can still have the pipes that will drain out. So if we ever wanted to drain the fountain, we could do that pretty easily. It's just filling it back up. So I'll have that answer next time as well.
Okay. All right, Eric, continue.
And last is Brentwood Forest. Staff has been meeting with Brentwood Forest on a couple of items. And at one of the meetings, they notified staff that it was their intent to remove all 42 of their sweet gum trees. We just wanted to, and that they didn't have a plan to replace them with anything. So obviously that's going to be a change in the look and of the urban forest. So we thought we'd at least bring it to you guys to let you guys know and bring it to your attention.
There's another part to that too.
Oh.
City trees that are on there.
Oh, the city trees. So obviously we have a number of city trees. We're not going to remove city trees. There is question about, our gumballs and who's responsible for maintaining them. And we did remind them that it is the right of way and they're responsible for maintaining stuff in the right of way. I think they'd be interested in the city for paying for that. We did not, I don't think, we didn't respond. So we basically said that it is the responsibility of the property owner to maintain the right of way.
So,
Is this going to jeopardize our Tree City
It will
status
not,
at all?
because Tree City is based on what the city does and primarily what we do. So obviously that's private property. So it's only what we do on public land for Tree City USA.
We street sweep our streets over there, right?
And yes, that's another topic that I'm sure Dan will bring up next month, which is expanded street sweeping schedule for Brentwood Forest.
You got questions for Eric regarding parks? Move on to sustainability.
All right, let me pull up my computer. My computer went off again. But the first thing is the pumpkin smash. So we had worked with Webster Groves last year to promote their pumpkin smash, and with the idea that the city would partner more formally with them this year. This is something that sustainability has been really interested with and has discussed a couple of times. And so they have contacted the city. It's going to be Webster Groves, Maplewood, and Brentwood, possibly even Crestwood. So kind of collaboration on what hopefully will be a great event. And so the idea is you bring your pumpkins to the pumpkin smash. If you have kids, they can take a bat to it and have some fun, drop it, and just kind of get creative. And then we put it into a composter and then take it to get composted instead of pumpkins going into landfills, which then will turn into methane. So this is something we're excited about. They basically are asking partner cities to volunteer for volunteers and help promote. Obviously, we promote it through our normal channels, and because we'd want our residents to go there. And then volunteers, we'd be working with Sustainability Commission and staff to help volunteer that. So that's the first one. This year, I think it's going to be held in Blackburn Park in Webster Groves. It was going to be held a different location. I can't remember where, but because of the elm closing throughout all of the rest of this year, that park became inaccessible. So Blackburn Park is where we're going to do it. And then we are, again, going to be, if you've seen the new brochure that's hopefully is out in the mail, we're going to do Sustainable September again this year. So it's a way to kind of support and showcase what we do for our city. And so we're going to do a lot of different things this year. So we're doing a family Halloween costume swap. So if you have kids who have old Halloween costumes, you can bring them to the swap, and then you can then find another one. It's just, you leave one, pick one up. If you don't leave one, you can come in and see if there's anything you want. It's just kind of a free way of reusing everything. A vegan cooking class, Trader Joe's has been a great partner, and they're going to do a vegan cooking class. And then, again, goat grazing. We'll return to Memorial Park. Again, as I like to say, those goats are on their own schedule, so we don't have an exact date yet. Depends on how they finish up their previous ones, but we will get them out, and we've been working with the contractor. We hope to do kind of a goat parade from somewhere to kind of get them paraded into the park, into their pen. And so we're hoping to do something to have a little bit of fun with that. So those are just a couple of the highlights. We're going to do a lot of other things throughout the month, and we're looking forward to it. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. We'll move on to Planning and Development Department. Whitney?
Good evening. So for the month of July, there were 242 new building permits and 1,137 inspections. Code enforcement had a reported of 48 new cases and 126 inspections. Last night was the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. The extra space storage at 8071 through 8075 Manchester Road recommended approval, so it will go to the September 8th Board of Aldermen. Titanium Fitness conditional use permit also received a recommendation for approval, so it will be on the September 8th, as well as the text amendment regarding the floodplain hazard controls, cleaning up the text on that. We had the first review of the mixed-use multifamily development at 8300 through 8330 Manchester Road, and that was continued to the August 26th Site Plan Subcommittee for additional review. The business license, we've been ongoing with those. As of the end of July, there was 609 active licenses, 11 were awaiting payments. for including new and renewing businesses and 5 in the renewing stage. There are 26 expired businesses, and we've sent out code violations, so some of those are trickling in. Contractor registrations are also required every year, and from January to the end of July, there was 1,819 contractor credentials that have been processed. Next Thursday, on August 20th, we have the Architectural Review Board for the new porch design at 2514 Lewis Avenue. And then on August 27th, at 6:30 p.m., there are 2 items for the Board of Adjustment, 9014 Powell. They have a pre-existing non-conforming home that sits within the side setback, and they're seeking to do an addition. And then we have a use variance at 8273 Brentwood Industrial Drive. Also, this time, back in May of 2025, we, based upon a number of complaints that we've been getting on parking of trailers and recreational vehicles in the residential districts, we came before the board, the Planning, Public Works Committee, and to see if y'all wanted to change the text. At that time, you did not. So we've been proceeding with enforcement. There has been some discussion that whether our code is clear or not. So I'm asking if you would like for us to proceed with the text amendment to make it more clear, while the current cases in municipal court are pending.
We don't really have anything here. I don't know how we'd act on it tonight.
Well, you wouldn't act. I'm just asking if you want me to proceed in that direction. It would require going to the Planning and Zoning Commission in September for a text amendment and then proceed to the Board of Aldermen for approval.
Haven't seen it tonight, become familiar with what it really says, then
Yeah,
bring it fully in September and then subsequent committees.
most
and boards.
definitely, because I don't know what it says. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
court cases, yeah,
Okay.
in September on that.
Okay. So that's all I have right now.
Thanks, Whitney. All right, moving on to consent agenda. All we have is the minutes of the last meeting. If there's no changes to the minutes, can we approve by acclamation? See no objection, so we will do that. We have no old business. We'll move on to new business. It looks like we have some fee changes in building permits and other charges.
So as part of our looking at the budget for 2027, we were looking at our permit fees. If you remember, in 2022 and 2023, we increased the building permit from $6 per thousand of the project cost to $7 per thousand, but we kept the rest of the items as they were, and those have not been looked at since 2013, so we're now looking at increasing those as well. And looking at the Planning and Zoning Commission application fees, those, I couldn't find where they've been last updated. The Architectural Review Board was established in 2005, which probably would have established the fee, so I'm assuming those haven't been updated since. So we're looking at all of those. And include, as part of that, and the inspections fees are $25 per inspection, and the permitting processing fee is $25. We're looking to increase that to $50 for both. And then in the fire safety permits that were first added into the code in 2013, we're at $3 per thousand, so we would look to increase the inspection for those, as well as the building permit fee for that to be in line with the others at $7 per thousand. Occupancies in 2022 were Used to be like $45 at the end of it. We split that out to do $45 for the inspection and $25 for when the new resident comes in for the permit. We would like to increase both of those to $50. And then for single-family homes, that would go, since it's twice the time to do an entire home, we would like to increase that to $100. And then the sign permits fees would also be increased to $50 for the permit fee and in relation to the building permit fee. Our proposal for the Planning and Zoning Commission and Architectural Review Board is to increase the application for ARB to $200, the Planning and Zoning Commission fee increased to $500, and the Board of Adjustment application fee increased to $300, and this would be in line with with our comparator cities, and it would help cover the costs for mailing and public noticing requirements and things like that. Also included is the late fees, which were originally established in 2009 at 10% for the first month and 1% for each month after. And since those haven't been looked at since 2009, and the number of emails and phone calls and postcards and letters to get people to comply, we would like to increase that to 25% for the first month and 5% for each month after that. And those that exempt businesses that currently don't pay a fee, though a late fee would be charged at $50 minimum. So if you have any specific questions, I'm sorry, one other item. The Brentwood Forest decks, in 2013, when they last looked at these permit fees, there was an agreement that Brentwood Forest would only be charged $50 for deck repairs and $75 for a new deck for the entire building. That has given them a discounted rate that is not afforded to other properties in the city. So therefore, we would like to bring that in line with everybody else. So.
I definitely appreciate the fact that it's been 13 plus years since we've raised fees, and so definitely when you have that long, there are some bigger jumps, and some of them, like the $5 to $10 ones, like absolutely no problem with something like that. I am curious about the special fee sections, because those jumps are like site plan review went from $100 to $500. Same for rezoning and text amendment.
Correct.
Is there any concern that this is going to have not pursue projects or be a discourager for either renovation, redevelopment, or anything like that?
I don't, since we have the residential design guidelines, we're looking at projects for more staff approval versus going to the Architectural Review Board. We're seeing that possibly it'd be less projects at the Architectural Review Board. So therefore, that's why we also see the justification for the increased. There are a number of costs. You know, the members are paid. There's the mailing cost, staff time. It wouldn't even cover a portion of that. So that's why we're looking for that increase. And it's in line with some of the others, our comparator cities as well.
Like Architectural Review Board goes from 50 to 200. The next Board of Adjustment is 300. 500?
Correct.
What's the thought of the different dollar amounts for the different ones instead of just like $200 for everybody or $300 for everybody?
Well, the Architectural Review Board is a quicker process and less staff time review. It still has to meet public noticing requirements, but it does not require publication in a newspaper. And there's less members of the Architectural Review Board. And whereas the Board of Adjustment requires notification into the publication in a newspaper, public notice mailings, the amount of staff time to prepare for the reports, and same with the Planning and Zoning Commission and conditional use permit and rezonings. The site plan review in of itself does not require publication in a newspaper, but conditional use permits that generally go along with those rezoning and text amendments and, yeah, conditional use permits and rezoning and text amendments require notification in the newspaper, which can run close to $100 each time for each item, $80 to $100 for each item, plus the cost of mailing. So that's why we're looking to increase those.
It's $100 just to put it in a newspaper.
Yeah, 80 to
That
100,
is
yeah.
so-
The Countian, which is the cheapest one that meets the legal requirements.
About the only one left, isn't it?
Huh?
It's about the only publication left.
Yes. So, correct.
And then most of the other ones that you've taken the leap on, those tend to be commercial developments too.
Yeah. So generally, yeah. So for like the service of the switchboards at 400 to 600 and the service over 600, there's just more to look at. And our inspectors, the required training that we're paying for and encouraging our inspectors to get, there's just more. John can expand on that if needed.
Nancy, go ahead.
So you've said it a couple times, but this is in line with comparator cities? Are we higher than?
It would be,
Like,
um,
are we higher than a lot of cities on any of these? I know we probably haven't looked at it for a long time, so.
we're not higher on a lot of cities. We're probably in the upper range, but not at the highest.
Okay.
A lot of, and I apologize, I forgot to print out my chart for that table.
My regular question on
Yeah.
any topic.
But most of the cities charge these fees. Plus, then they may charge escrow where staff time can be charged against it, but we're not proposing that at this time. So, no, in my prior work, it was a $250 application fee and a $2,000 escrow for any project that went to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Well, since we got John here, and you stayed, I got a question for you. Could you kind of go and look at the electrical code a minute? And when you see the different amperages,
Yes, sir.
I mean, most households are 200 amps, but when you start getting up and above that, is that because you're getting into commercial type?
Yeah, a 2 to 400 amp service will start being your larger homes. Our small commercial business here, 400 amps. I mean, we do have 400 amp systems in some houses around here, but typically you're going to be looking at commercial stuff. And when you're looking at the difference between a 200 and a 400 amp, 200 amp, if you use a new house, you're probably looking at 50, 60 outlets. I mean, when we do a service like that, it's a service, and then we have to go through the whole entire house and check every outlet and switches and that. So when you're looking at a 400 amp service, you're looking typically for residential, you're looking at a bigger house. Again, you're going maybe from doing 50 with a 200 amp to doing 100 with, testing 100 different circuits. And when you go into 600, that's typically generally going to be commercial, your bigger commercial stuff, so.
And then when you look at the additional column, like for instance, under 200 amp, the first one's 20, but then you drop down to 10. The next one stays at 20 and 20, and then you got 60, and it drops down to 40. And then the next one stays 60 and 60. What is the rationale behind?
Yeah, wait a minute, can you answer that one? I gave it to you. Yeah, I mean, for residential, we like to kind of keep it at a lower cost.
Okay.
When you get into more commercial's more apt to go, they're just going to pay it, they don't care, because they're charging it to somebody else. But the 200 amp would be more of a, 2 to 400 amp would be more residential, so we're looking at trying to keep the residential costs down as much as possible.
Then under communication systems per outlet, is that going from 6 cents to $10, and then?
Where's it at on here? Or am I missing it?
Okay. But then the additional one's only 60 cents? Not quite.
Yep, yes, sir, you're correct.
Okay. The initial one would be $10, and then you drop down to 60 cents for the, okay. The only other question I had is, under occupancy permits, you know, when somebody wants an inspection, they're paying $100. And then to get the actual permit, I mean, what, isn't that just a digital thing that you guys are sending out a permit, a certificate?
They have to actually, the new tenant has to come in and complete, so when there's a new occupancy, the existing property owner or real estate agent sets up the inspection and pays for the inspection. And when the new tenant comes in, they have to complete the come to City Hall and complete the permit with their information, and then they're given a document for proof of occupancy. That gives them the discount rates at the city's recreation complex, the Heights, at the library. That gives them all of those residence rates. So that's why we are justifying actually increasing that to the $50.
Questions? Anybody have any concerns about the increase? Then you're looking to forward this on to the board?
Yes, we would propose an ordinance to adopt these at the board, yeah.
Okay, so I guess a motion to adopt the fees as stated in the memo.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Moving on to new business, item B would be a streets project. I guess this is you, Dan.
We bid these, collected those, opened them up last week. There's 4 base bids. We only received 1 submittal, so that was on August 7th. We've used Pavement Solutions before, so I know that they do good work. So I broke these down by area, so just the way there are in the bid. So you've got Eager Road, that one's at a little over $124,809. Then you have Eulalie, 8502 Eulalie to Rosalie, so that's basically from like Mary Kay down to Rosalie, a little over 189,000. Collier, we increased the scope, wanted to see what that would take, and we'll go through that in a little more detail. But that one came in at 328,762. Strassner at Hanley Industrial, that intersection, 197. So the total of all 4 of those is 840,406 and 78 cents. Again, Collier, the reason why it deviates from the engineer's estimate, we originally looked at just 10,000 square feet. So that would get you the intersection just north of Russell, like down at the southern end, and then the intersection of Collier and Pendleton, and 1 or 2 slabs in between. We thought, well, what if you could do intersection to basically intersection? Because Russell, when it was redone, and then we did the shared use path on the north side, it redid a good chunk going north of Russell. This would pick up where that left off and then take you up to the Pendleton intersection. So really the only thing original would be from that intersection of Pendleton going north up to the Schnooks, and then MoDOT redid a portion of Collier going south of Manchester. So it was to try to get you as much of Collier done. You know, it's an older street. There's a lot of old concrete slabs that are broken. However, what that did was it raised the cost to $328,000. So then I did a little bit of analysis, knowing what I actually have to work with. So that's underneath the finance and operation. So our 26 budget line of 4401 6535, that's streets and sidewalks. So little over 873,000. So far to date, we've spent a little more than 84,000. So now I know I have a little over $789,000 to work with. Option 1 does all the streets that we just mentioned, the 840,000, but then I'm in a deficit. I need to come up with over $51,000 to do that if I didn't do any other projects the rest of the year. If I look at option 2, it goes back to the original concept of reducing the scope on Collier. It drops it down to around 698,000, which means I'd still have a little over 91,000 remaining in that budget line item for the rest of the year. Option 3, I thought, well, what if you didn't do any of the commercial and focused all on residential? So that one would still do the increased scope of Collier, but it defers the Strassner-Hanley industrial intersection. So that one is roughly 643,000 for those 3 projects. So that would be items 1 through 3. You defer item 4, and you would be left with around 146,000 for 2026 to do other projects. So I tried to boil it down into 3 different options. I know in the past we tried to focus solely on residential, tried to do more in Hanley Industrial. It's a lot of work in Hanley Industrial. There's so many slabs there. And I tried to focus on the main intersection. So I mean, that would be that intersection as you turn and go westbound, from Hanley Road, go underneath the metro tracks, and then you come to that intersection. Gets a lot of traffic, probably 2,000 cars a day.
I know you rank some of our streets on condition.
Yeah.
How would you rank each one of these?
I would actually rank Collier worse than like Hanley and Strassner. In my opinion, would I love to do all of them? Sure. If we have the funds, I'd like to do 1 through 4. However, knowing that, part of Collier is a little commercial since you have, was it Rossi Academy and then Schnucks, but then as you're going south, then it turns into all residential from Pendleton on down. I like doing that one. That's a lot of old concrete. We've patched it. I mean, you see there's a lot of crack seal material. We've cut out areas and put in new slabs. I know driving through there the other day, somebody's either doing sewer lateral or something because there's a missing slab, and that'll be a new slab with old slabs around it. I do want to do Eager, so if you looked at your map, that took you from like Bobolink and Brentwood Forest and wrapped it all the way around to the county limits with just to the west of Brentwood Boulevard. So that's older asphalt. That gets a lot of heavy use. I know we filled a lot of potholes. We've cut out areas. You've got the seam where the center line is underneath the bank building that it opens up, and then we refill it, and this would take care of that.
Do we know when you talk about Eager, are they done with the construction up there of the townhomes?
That I don't know.
We got heavy traffic still building those. I don't see why we'd want to re-asphalt something that's got heavy equipment going over it.
So would you be throwing out a different option, remove Eager and do the other 3?
I hate to make this even more difficult, but
I can make an option 4.
I'd make an option. I'm just curious because it's not very residential at all. And I'm, thinking that if they've still got lots up there. I don't know if they've stopped building for whatever reason, but if they're still going to continue that, maybe that's a question for Richmond Heights. I don't know, but it just doesn't make any sense to put down asphalt and then have it torn up. What does the committee think?
I haven't seen them build anything for 3 or 4 months, and nothing's in process there or anything right now.
Yeah, and I looked at that as it's kind of it is a gateway into Brentwood. It's like if you're shopping at Brentwood Square, if you're, just cutting through and trying to get over to McCutcheon and then go north to Clayton Road, it gets a lot of traffic. I know the county did their piece several years ago, but, there's more in areas, and I thought, well, we're just going to do where our seam is between the ownership differential and go back, past the stop sign, go under the building, stop at Bobolink. I know as I go west, then it gets more convoluted because half belongs to Richmond Heights, half is mine. If you're to do Eager Road West there, we have to time it with them. I don't want them to do their half, kind of like with McKnight. That's not good. If you look at just the raw numbers, that Eager Road is, 124,809, and then you would add the rest of them.
Make a difference if we asked Richmond Heights for?
I don't know what late in the year, I don't know how long this is going to take before we get.
I know we talked to the contractor. Payment Solutions said, well, if they had the green light, like after the board meeting, that they could meet the deadline. They can get it done before the end of the year. Because in the contract, it says, I think, November 12th. It's got a November date. Asphalt, of course, you have to have warmer temperatures, usually 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Concrete, you can do down to say 40, but I wouldn't want to do it much lower than that. Then you're going to have to insulate it.
Well, I know I'm a little bit biased because Collier's in my ward, but to do this over 2 separate years and have the disruption to the residents
Right.
of having the road torn up and not being able to get into their driveways, and it would seem like, take the pain now instead of prolonging it.
Yeah, and this would get you from curb to curb, just for clarification on Collier, if you did the increased scope. And to your point, it would have disruption once, so you would do half of it. They can't use that half, then flip it and do the other half, but then you've got a new thoroughfare from Pendleton down.
I would concur, and we should do Collier for sure, and then it's just a matter of what gets dropped out.
So we can ask Richmond Heights before Monday, and we would put this on the agenda to include Eager. And if we are able to get a response tomorrow, it's fine. And if the response is, well, there's more construction going on, then an amendment could be made at the meeting on Monday. We would share that information with you, and the motion would be to take that's an option.
Or could we replace Eager with, I mean, I don't know where
Or-
we are,
Or
but
that too, yeah.
replace Eager with Strassner.
Yeah, I was going to rerun it if that's the desire, is to rerun the table, add an option 4, remove item 1, which is Eager at the 124,809, give you that number. Do you want to do that?
I would just like to see it balance. I mean, because the 51,000 has to come from somewhere, and so I love having a nice, staying on budget. So
Well, it's,
the order in which it happens, because I don't think we're saying it's not going to happen. It's just, does it happen this year?
Right.
Yeah, if I take too much of the funds, then I take away from the 1.2 million TDD, and then you don't have a whole lot going on moving forward.
Versus if we do it, balance this year, stay on budget for this
And
year.
there's only 1.2, and
Right.
we've spent 840.
This would be 840 if you did it as
840
is.
of it.
Yeah.
And then there's part of it that will be spent on the Gateway Fountain, so that's about 50,000. That's the balance we have.
I'm thinking some ivy would look good at that Gateway Fountain. All right, well, anybody want to make a motion as to what we should do here? If we're going to forward this on to the board, I want some clarity.
May I ask a question before
Sure,
I make
sure,
a
sure.
motion? So if there's no traffic if there is no more construction, do you think would you do Eager before the Strassner Hanley?
Tough.
Because those are
Asphalt.
both busy areas.
Yeah, I'd almost want to do Hanley and Strassner just because some of those slabs are cracked quite a bit. And it would just, I think, look better. There's a lot of cut-through traffic between Hanley and Brentwood Boulevard in that intersection. They would redo that whole intersection and then re-mark it with pavement markings. I know they could probably do it quicker because, the asphalt jobs, it's big, but you're only milling away 2 inches and then you're laying it. So, I mean, that goes fairly quickly. The concrete might take a little bit longer because you have to form it, let it cure, but it's a smaller area.
I think that Hanley and Strassner is in pretty poor shape.
Yes,
That
it is.
intersection.
I tend to
Okay.
side with that.
Okay, okay, thank you. I'll make a motion to forward on to the Board of Aldermen option 4, which is the Eulalie, Collier, and Strassner work.
I second it.
Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, Dan. On to, I guess this is still you, Dan, Mannerly Drive. Is that the next one?
Yeah, Manderley Drive, this is the retaining wall that is between 2828 and 2832. So there's currently a block, like cinder block wall that's leaning. This is the pathway that was between these two homes that used to cut between Manderley and I believe Hilldale. It's no longer needed. I know we've got the easements to do the work. This is to pay the contractor, J. Novak, to build a new wall. It's a Versalock wall that would be between these two lots. So it would remove the old wall, put in a new base, put in this block wall, and then a short run of privacy fence, 6-foot-high privacy fence. There's chain link right now between the two lots, but chain link's not allowed once we remove it. So the property owner did review. We did actually pick up samples from the contractor, brought them to her. She looked at them originally. She didn't like the gray. She likes, I think it's sandstone or whatever clever word they use for the color. It's beige, you know, the tannish beige, and it's textured. It looks more natural than the other one was smooth block. So we're good with that. The cost here is little over $43,839, and that's for everything: removal, installation. The only thing Public Works would need to do, there's some faux bushes up front. We would have to remove those, and then rather than seed and straw between the new block wall and her garage, she asked that we put in like a river rock because it would be lower maintenance with a filter fabric. So rather than pay the contractor, I can do that cheaper in-house. I'll get the rock in bulk and put the fabric down, put the rock, and put the bushes back. So that would save on the labor. And the
we have
bushes we would reuse, the rocks.
We have an agreement that once we do this, it's adios. If it's her,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, we would have the release. It may already have been signed with Hetledge.
Questions for Dan? Does this go onto the board? I guess you need a motion to,
It does, yes.
okay. Somebody want to make that?
I'll make a motion, take it to the board.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Okay.
I don't know if this is Eric with the request vacating 2348, I think it's 2348 Salem.
Sorry if the address wrong. That would. And
This came to Jeff and I, Alderman Gould, and I just kind of gave it to Eric a few days ago to look, dig up some research on this pathway. Do we have a name for that pathway?
no, I mean, we just call it the Oak Tree Park Trail,
Yeah.
Cecilia Trail. One
It goes
of the two.
down to Oak Tree Park from Cecilia. And they're asking if we would vacate a portion of that to them, or vacate it, and then I guess they just, I don't know what the terminology is for it.
They would just take ownership of it.
They just take
once
ownership?
we vacate it. So I was able to get find some information about this. And it starts with, some fun history. So Dr. Isaac Warren, who is a Brentwood resident over in Ward 3 by the sports complex, that area over there, owned a tract of land. And the northern part of his boundary was Warren Avenue, and Warren Avenue became Litzinger Road. And so when you see the plat, and when you see sometimes it's called Warren Avenue, sometimes it's called Litzinger, but basically they're kind of one and the same. And so Litzinger, this is Litzinger and Helen right here. And then this is Rosalie and Litzinger right by Oak Tree Park. So that used to be a road that went straight through. And at some point, don't know when, it stopped having vehicular access and became more pedestrian. And so then I was looking at it, and we had done this plat a while ago, but it was kind of interesting to kind of pull it back up. And so the easiest way to do it was through colors. So purple is the property in question. They're the ones who are asking to vacate probably this little 8-foot strip, which is right next to it. And the yellow, this was part of Warren Avenue, and that was vacated in ordinance 1206 in 1955. And so obviously it was pedestrian before that. And so when they built Mary Kay Court, they vacated this portion of it to extend that southern property of those residents. The next was in 1978, which is this green swatch right here. And again, they vacated that for this residence along Douglas Court. Then again, in 1979, this southern part of that same section was vacated to give these two homes more property on the northern side of their boundary. And then last was 2013, when this little piece right here was vacated to expand the property line on 2441 Lewis. That one is the easiest one to look at because it's the newest one. Ultimately, they had a fence that was already encroaching onto the right-of-way. They went to planning and zoning when they were doing a new fence, and at that time, planning and zoning made the recommendation to vacate it, and then went to the board vacated it. So the irony of this is that this is the only property in this whole area that hasn't had anything vacated. So it's kind of hard to kind of look at this and say, no, there's a reason that the city should keep this because we basically have vacated most everything around us. So if you saw the pictures that are in there, I think those were taken by Alderman Lockmuller. They had turned that into, it had always been sort of a garden. Even the previous owners had a garden. They've always maintained it as a garden since I've been the director of Parks and Recreation. So we have never really done any sort of maintenance of that area anyway, because it always had kind of been a garden. So they've kind of added more to it, and I think part of it of wanting the vacation is to do with their, they put in a new driveway, and they want to make sure that they have the ability to ensure the soil erosion and things like that. So it is, this is what I was asked to kind of bring forth to you, and I think the real question is do you guys have a recommendation for staff to do?
So just one quick question. So on the part where the green and blue vacation,
Yes,
so we vacated right up to the path?
right up to that pass.
So like what happens if we need to repave the path?
It is, we did that in 2013, 2014. You just do it really carefully. So it is not an easy access to get to be completely honest. But it was, as you see, what was left was a 5-foot sidewalk. And so actually that's the shortest width of any of that trail, and opens up to about 8 feet once you get south of Salem. So ultimately, most of what we're doing is just overlaying with more asphalt. Ultimately, I think the goal would always be to get to some sort of concrete because that's going to stand longer. And but you'd have to tear it up, and you have to put your forms down and make sure that you are careful around those areas.
So I'm definitely for this. I just don't know if there's something that we should put in the language. I don't know if you do this in language, but if we needed to come in and re-asphalt or later
we can
concrete,
talk
that we
to-
would have access to the edges of their
Yeah, I
of the
think that's
vacated land.
That's a good question to talk to Jim about, and I'm sure we could add that into the language of anything that we do if we move forward with this.
So, I understand precedence and sticking with and being fair to all concerned, so I definitely can see vacating the land. I would want to be extremely clear where it ends, though, for the same reason of the path. And for the concrete blocks, I am 99.9% sure those blocks were put on the path. They were not put on the dirt, which means line up to where the blocks are, that's actually on the existing path. And so I would be okay vacating. I'm not okay giving any more of that path up just
Yeah.
because that is so narrow. And I think I'd like the city to be able to hold on to as much of the trail as possible. So I would want to be extremely clear
I would agree. I mean,
on I know why they did it. They've done a beautiful job on the landscaping. They've put a lot of work in, but they did push their property line over when they did that.
we obviously, if
Or
we
their
did
perceived
this,
property line.
we'd have to do probably, we have a plat, but we'd have to make sure we do a further surveying work to make sure we know exactly where everything is. And I would agree, we would not do anything that would impede onto the current trail.
Because once they get that land, could they put a 6-foot tall fence right up to that line?
That would have to go through P&Z, but
Because once again, like, it's the balance of fairness, but also understand what we're signing up for. If,
Sure.
you know, the minute we sell it, they could put up a 6-foot fence, and now you're going to have, like, once again, constricting of the path.
Yes, they can do a 6-foot wood fence. We only require a variance when it's a corner lot on a public road right-of-way. And I would not consider this to be that equivalent, and therefore we would allow it to be at the property line.
Very, very sure where that property line actually, like,
Correct.
exactly, up to what point are we vacating?
Right.
Know that area, if you've been over there, this house, as you go further down, their fence is up to their property line, if I understand correctly. So it would be very similar, kind of just that same
That
line.
house has, like, grass between the trail, because the trail
Yes,
curves.
That's-
So it's not perceived as, like, literally going into the
Correct.
concrete walkability.
correct. That would be but what would remain would still be right of way, so they could still probably maintain that. It's probably like a couple inches to a foot. They could still maintain that as part of their garden, but if they wanted to put up a fence, it would have to be put up at the property line.
What is the cost of,
Staff time, getting the vacation notice letter, getting everything ready for the board meeting. There's obviously attorney's time because Jim would do a lot of this work. And then there is a fee at St. Louis County to record it at St. Louis County, sorry.
but because we have this, we don't need to go out and survey it or anything like that?
I would hope not. I think this is pretty darn close to, it would show what we have. If we did have to do a survey, that would be additional work. We could probably get TWM, who did this, to do it pretty quickly and fairly cheap, since they have this already on file.
I just think it wouldn't be unreasonable to pass it along. I know we can't sell the property.
Correct, because it's right of way, it's not, we don't own that property, it's
Can
just
we
right
ask for
of way.
reimbursement for our costs to do this?
We would confirm that with
Jim.
the city attorney.
Why don't we do that?
It
and-
seems like it's doable, but we'd want to confirm it with them.
And we can bring all of that information back to the September Public Works meeting before we move forward.
Can you help me understand when you say it's still right of way, what exactly that means? So
So-
we're vacating the land, and they own it, but we still have right of way. Help me understand.
No, what I'm saying is that if the property line, if we follow this line here of where that fence line is, you said there's that little patch of grass between their fence and the grass. So we'd probably keep the property line very similar to that. And so everything to the south of that would be their property. That little leftover to the north, which is still probably part of that garden, would still be right of way. It'd still be the city right of way. Well, it'd still be right of way, and the property owner adjacent to it would still be responsible for maintaining it. But going back to the fence thing, if we made, it's hard to tell because I don't have exact measurements, but this is an 8-foot easement. Let's say it's 9 feet from their property, their current property line to the trail. We would go 8 foot. So that 8 foot to the south, they would own. That foot to the north would still be right of way. They could still maintain it as part of their garden, but if they wanted to put up a fence, they'd have to put it up at 8 foot. They couldn't put it up right next to the trail.
I might be missing what they're, are we saying that the whole mulched area is
That whole most of that mulch area is currently within the city's right of way.
it goes concrete, they have the patio area with their picnic table and their nice little seating area, then they have trees, then they have the flowers that caught put in, then the brick, then it goes trail.
Correct. And if I remember correctly, some of those trees at the very top are on their right, or on their property. And then when it really starts to slope is where it turns into the right of way.
Okay. I need to look at a map.
think
I'm
it's-
slightly confused on where they're, what exactly. I'm not opposed, like I said, for fairness and for equity for between all the neighbors, I'm not opposed, but I'm a little confused on exactly what we're giving up.
8-foot wide section there that is not shown. I don't think it's shown right there, is it? Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering,
I don't know if it's on county website, but
If the fence continued straight, the fence would still leave part of that garden off.
correct.
We would be still in theory green space, but we wouldn't vacate it. They run a kind of curved path. And we're vacating the whole thing, so not just the part with the bricks, but also there's a row of like 3-4 bushes they own as well. In addition to that flower bed area that goes further back to connect back, we'd be vacating all of that as well.
Not going to be perfect, but the way I remember the property line is that it's about a foot on this side of this pathway, that driveway.
Okay.
So all of this is technically right-of-way. But if we stay in line with this fence and kind of come up, it would dissect leaving about a foot of this area of the garden that would still be within the right-of-way.
Okay, so we're not going up, and that
Not
goes back
going
to my,
all-
like, the
correct.
garden has grown. Like I said, they're doing a
Yeah.
beautiful job on it, but it has
Yes,
grown over the years.
correct. And
So
so
we want
that
to know
is,
the original line, and then 1 foot, wherever that original line is, it would be 1 foot back off of that, wherever the original concrete line is.
yes, which then, to Alderwoman Tice's point, give us a little bit of flexibility when we need to do maintenance on the trails.
Yes, yes.
And if they wanted to put up a fence, they wouldn't be able to do it directly onto the trail.
And it would keep that nice current width of that trail in that
Yes.
section, because there's
And
that drop off.
that's when you see it go from this wider path straight into this 5-foot. It's because the city vacated all that right-of-way up until there. So, and that does make it a challenge for maintaining that trail, but
It also makes I know one of your folks did a nice job pruning back there somewhat recently, which was lovely, by the way. But it just, when stuff starts to grow, it overgrows really fast.
Yes.
So that's part of my concern on the narrowing is
Yep.
once you start narrowing one way, it narrows a second. But, okay, so wherever the line is and wherever the trail ends, then 1 foot we keep on the side of the trail and then vacate up to that point. Okay.
well, Whitney, if they decide to put in a fence, hypothetically, if they decide to put in a fence, they have to supply a survey, and you said they can go up to that line.
Correct.
So whatever we're vacating, if that survey line between their property and the pathway is where a fence can go.
Correct.
So we need to probably survey that
Yeah, we would
or
want to
get something that shows what the line is.
Correct. We would, especially if they put in a fence, we want to ensure that it's on their property.
Right, and not in that area that Michelle's talking about.
Right.
Okay, cool. All right.
never easy vacating stuff.
No, it's not. You would think so, but you think you could just give stuff away.
So we'll get some of these questions answered, and we'll be back next month to kind of wrap this up.
Sounds good.
Great.
Thank you. We'll move into citizen comment. No one here in the audience. Anybody online? All right, well then I'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everybody.